Greetings, Greyhound fans, and happy game day. Welcome to a special Thursday edition of the Ocean Springs Football Coaches Show. Alongside Coach Blake Pennock, I am Trey, Brennan. If you missed it last week, the Greyhounds hosted the D'Iberville Warriors and collected a win 40-0 at Hugh Pepper Field. The offense looked dominant in the victory, but we'll talk more about this game in a moment. Let's take a look at the other Week 6 results in Region 4. The Hawks traveled to St. Martin and picked up a 35-21 win over the Yellow Jackets. The Admirals hosted the Panthers and collected a win in a high-scoring matchup. And the Indians, who we'll see this week, traveled to Lyman and defeated the Harrison Central Red Rebels 21-8. Here's how the standings shake out after the second week of 2022 region play. The Greyhounds remain at the top with a 2-0 record in region play and 5-0 overall. The Hancock Hawks moved up 2 spots as the Red Rebels and Yellow Jackets each fell a spot. As we look ahead to Week 7, the Warriors head to Pascagoula to take on the Panthers. The Hawks will host the Gulfport Admirals. St. Martin travels to Lyman to take on the Harrison Central Red Rebels, and your Greyhounds head next door to play Biloxi at Indian Stadium. It is important to note that now that we've made it to October, all kickoff times will now be at 7 p.m. for the remainder of the season, and we will no longer have heat timeouts. Be sure to leave your house early tonight, especially due to cruising the coast, and the Greyhounds are playing in Biloxi. Before we preview tonight's matchup against the Indians, let's recap last week's big win at home over the Warriors. Senior quarterback Bray Hubbard led the Greyhound offense with 282 passing yards, 4 touchdowns, and only 1 incompletion. He also added 2 rushing touchdowns on 65 yards. Senior wide receiver Christian White had a huge game with 5 receptions for 119 yards and 2 touchdowns. Receivers Jax Coleman and Bryant Osmer also added a touchdown each. Defensively, Keyshawn Thomas led the team with 15 tackles, 3 of them being for loss. Eric Moore added 12 tackles, and Trace Carter added 11. Coach, you guys had a big game Friday night. There's plenty to be happy about. Of course, we have to start in the obvious spot. Will Smith went down with an injury early on in the game. What kind of update can you give us on Will?
Well, he broke his femur, and he's doing okay. He had surgery Saturday morning. Right after that, surgery went perfect, went great. He was able to put a little weight on his leg the same day, which is great. I think the doctors he's going to be able to start rehab in about a month or so, and the doctors are really optimistic that he's going to make a full recovery and be back to normal here pretty soon. So excited about him. We're really sad that happened. So it's a tremendous kid who works really hard and does a great job and has the respect of all his teammates and coaches, and we wish him well in his recovery.
Absolutely. Now, when obviously that injury happened pretty early on in the game, when you see your teammate go down or your player, how do you keep the guys focused on the task at hand while also, the balance, because that's their friend, that's their teammate. They've been in the dogfight with them all year, and to see them go down and have to get them back to game speed and focusing on the task at hand, how does that?
Well, we have a really mature team, and that's really good. We have great leadership on our football team, and it doesn't take much to get them back focused, but they still worry about their friend, about their teammate, and they knew they had a job to do, and as soon as that was over with, then I think Will had quite a few visitors from Ocean Springs at the hospital over the course of the weekend, and they care about him. But our guys really locked in and played great football, played really clean football for the most part. The entire night on all 3 phases.
Absolutely, and we obviously send our best wishes to Will as he starts his recovery journey. Coach, we talk just about every week about how important it is to start off strong, and you really like to score on the first drive, set the tone early. What did you like from our first drive? They got out quick to an early touchdown, and how does that kind of start shape your game plan moving forward?
Yeah, it's perfect execution, and we had some things really. I've talked about how we script our openers, and we had some things that schematically. Had they lined up the way that we expected them to, they were going to score. It was just, I thought that the first play should have scored, and we had it ready to go. Had the ball thrown just behind there to slow him up, but we're able to get the touchdown right there by Jax Coleman, and so it's perfect execution. Great job by our coaching staff. Our offensive coaches, offensive coordinator Jake Bramlett, did a good job with all those things. And, you like to see when a plan comes together, and it was really good. And I think it set the tone, one, for our wide receivers. We had a lot of young wide receivers playing in the game to get them some confidence, and then to get Bray some confidence and throwing the football and in them. It's been no secret that we've been searching for that breakout pass game, ever since the first night against Clinton, and then I think we had it the other night, and so I was really excited about the outcome of it.
Last week we talked about how disappointed the defense was to give up that late touchdown against Hancock. Well, okay, they came back this week. They got their goose egg like they liked their second one of the year. D'Iberville was able to have a couple long drives, but ultimately the defense held strong when it mattered, stopping them on fourth down several times. How reassuring is it to see your guys out there? You know, they gave a little bit to D'Iberville, but then ultimately when it mattered, they came up with the stop.
Yeah, there's no doubt. It's phenomenal. You know, it's great for us. It's great for our team and our defense, obviously, for the confidence. I know D'Iberville struggled, this season, but it hasn't been because of their offense. They put up a lot of points on the team in their season so far this year, and they've been really, really good. And that offense is just a struggle. To go. It does so many things with eye manipulation with your second and third levels and doing everything. And with them, once they get to about the 50, it's 4-down territory. And so when you're looking at all those things and the way they run the football and all that stuff, it's hard to stop a team, in 4 opportunities to get before they get 10 yards. And just, great job by our guys, great job by our defensive line and pursuit angles in our second and third levels. Just really a great job of them guys just bowing their neck up when we needed to on those 4th-down stops.
You mentioned a second ago about trying to open up the passing game. Ocean Springs this year, coming into the Friday night's game, primarily their bread was buttered in the running game. As much as you want to get the passing game involved, our success so far this year had been through the running game. How is important it now? The wide receivers had a huge game. We had 7 different players catch a pass. How important is it now, more than ever, now that Will's down, to break open that passing game and really move it forward? Yeah,
it's big. It was going to be big either way. And, now I guess it amplifies it even more. But we're still going to always start our offense at the line of scrimmage. We're going to try to run the football, and we're going to be successful at it no matter what. But to be a complete team, because eventually on your schedule, if you play long enough into November and early December, you're going to get a team that can stop you, or it can at least limit you what you can do in the run game. So we need to be balanced, and it helps us so many different ways when we talk about the numbers game on the way we call offense. And so, being able to do that, we have players. They've guys have stepped up. We needed to really do a good job, as coaches, getting them open and scheming some things up. And I felt like we did that the other night. And so, it's just we'll continue to take a step forward. It's not by all of a sudden we're an air raid team or anything, but we really want to be able to push that ball downfield. We got a great quarterback, and we feel like we got some guys with some skill to be able to do some things with it when the ball's in the air.
Sorry, I know one of the things it's great to see for you as a coach is every game you're getting better. You're showing progress, and you're not standing stagnant. You're moving forward and getting better with every game. We're going to take a quick break. Come back and talk about the Indians a little bit as the Greyhounds travel over to Biloxi. Make sure to leave your house early tonight. Cruising the Coast, special Thursday night matchup. You're watching the Ocean Springs Football Coaches Show. Welcome back to the Ocean Springs Football Coaches Show. The Greyhounds head on the road tonight to take on the Indians in Biloxi. A special 7 p.m. kick time. I say 7 p.m. special, but the rest of the season we're going to be kicking off at 7 p.m., so be sure to leave your house early. The Indians are coming off a 21-8 road win against the Harrison Central Red Rebels. They currently sit at 2-0 in region play and 4-1 overall. Coach, short week this week, Thursday night game. How does preparing for a Thursday night game, how is it different from preparing for a normal game? Obviously, you're a day short.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you lose a day of preparation, and so you kind of have to condense a couple of things into like maybe 2 practices into 1. You kind of have to get those big days of prep as you're in high school, or your Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesdays. So you have to kind of get those days all in about 2.5 days. So you have to be a little more creative with your schedule, and we have a little practice at that. We played our first game of the season on a Thursday, which we kind of condensed a little bit. Those weeks and those days or whatever, not like a normal Friday. So it's a little bit different, but you got to kind of get into it. But you really trust your coaches. Probably maybe can't be as creative with your or exotic with your game plans. You got to make sure that you're there to execute, make sure bodies are healed up and ready to go.
So Biloxi, as I just mentioned, 2-0 in the region. They're 4-1 overall. They have a close win over D'Iberville and a win over Harrison Central on the road last week. What type of team can we expect to see from Biloxi? What are their strong points, maybe their weaknesses?
Yeah, they do a really good job with their defensive scheme. Their head coach, Catlin French, is their defensive coordinator, and he does a pretty good job with the way that they play. It's very unique, kind of similar to us in what they do with angles in the front and in the front seven. They use their backers. They spin middle field close coverages a lot, and they do some things. They do some things in the back end that are pretty creative. So you got to do a good job with your eyes at quarterback and then your route adjustments as well. Offensively, they're going to try to run the football. They're going to be an 11 personnel team. They're going to be a gap scheme, powers and counters. So we got to be physical. We got to be able to own the line of scrimmage, and they have two big time playmakers out wide that some guys that can go. And so if we have to stop the run and we single up our guys in coverage, we got to do a really, really good job in coverage and making sure that we don't give up a huge play. So they have some issues that they can present for us, so we got to be ready to go for it.
So we talk about 11 personnel all the time on the show. For those watching, what exactly is 11 personnel, like if you were to explain it to your aunt or somebody like that?
Okay, all right, so it's very easy. The numbers indicate you have 11, 10, 20, that kind of thing personnel, which is the shorthand for coaches of what they use. Well, the first number tells you how many running backs are on the field. All right, so if we're in 11 personnel, that tells you only one running back is on the field. All right, and then if we're in 10 personnel, well, if you ever see us in 4 wide receiver sets, that is 10 personnel because that second number represents how many tight ends are on the field. All right, tight ends are the guys that are right behind the line of the offensive line or got their hand on the ground. So that would be for us, 11 personnel we're talking about. We spent most of last season was, Evan McNally. That was the one tight end, and then obviously David Humphreys was that one running back. So, it's good personnel. It's shorthand talk for, our language and the way we use it in the football world, but it's pretty simple. One running back, one tight end is 11 personnel.
Yeah, that makes it a lot easier. We need to work on building up our budget here so we can get Coach a telestrator to be up here like John Madden breaking it down for us. So we're going to take a quick break, come back, wrap things up. You're watching the Ocean Springs Football Coaches Show. Welcome back to the Ocean Springs Football Coaches Show. The Greyhounds head to Biloxi tonight to take on the Indians at 7 p.m. Now that we're in October, we will not have any more 7:30 p.m. kickoffs. They're all at 7 p.m., and there will not be any heat timeouts. So be sure to leave your house early on account of the 7 p.m. kickoff and obviously Cruising the Coast taking place this week across Biloxi. Coach, we've made it to the grinding part of the season. You've got region games every week. How do you keep your guys fresh but also prepared at the same time? How do you balance that?
Well, you kind of have to have a good, be able to monitor your team and talk to the leaders of your team and the guys that understand the work ethic and what it takes to be successful at this level. And so you kind of have to get some feedback from them a little bit as we get over the course of the season, because we're still on the halfway point, so we're still in the young part of the season. But as we go further on, I'll kind of gauge what I see our guys in. We always want to have their legs under them, be ready for Friday nights. So you kind of pull back a little bit. You don't tackle as much to the ground. Maybe you don't go full pads, but just a day out of the week kind of thing, because you still want to keep that physicality, right? And so there's kind of a fine line there. And, some of the things that are just you pull back a little bit on some of your indie teaching maybe and go more in a team setting or a group setting. There's all kinds of different things you can monitor, but we do a good job. Our trainer, Zach Weston, does a great job of making sure our guys are fresh. They have cold tubs every day that they get into they jump in there. Some of them hate it, they get into it real cold, but they come out and their legs are fresh, and so they're ready to go. Just the main thing is a big monitor and making sure they understand, what some of our guys need and what some of them don't.
Last segment we talked about preparing on a short week. On the flip side, that leaves you with a little bit longer week next week, right. Maybe a 3-day weekend if there is such a thing in coaching. What are your plans for this weekend?
Well, really, just obviously got Cruising the Coast coming down, so it's a really neat thing that I didn't know anything about, when I lived in Jackson before we moved down here as a family, and so getting a chance to experience that a little bit, seeing some cool cars. my kids love it. They absolutely love it. So it's a good chance to get downtown in Ocean Springs and check some of that stuff out. And, obviously getting a chance to put some eyes on some different opponents. Our region's starting to shape up a little bit, and you'll know more information after this Friday, with the weeks of games. And so you're continuing to keep information and seeing what we can expect, later on down the road, in some other regions as well. So it's a good time. It's a good time to kind of relax and get a little chance because, like you said, we're in the grind, and it isn't going to stop until we get to Hattiesburg for the state title. And so, it's a long thing, and we got to prepare ourselves for it.
Some big news surrounding our football team this week, Coach. Congratulations, you were named as offensive coordinator in the Bernard Blackwell Mississippi All-Star Game. You're going to coach the South as the offensive coordinator. Also, J.P. Coulter and Keyshawn Thomas named to the roster this week. Bray and Bart Edmonston. Bart Edmonston playing kicker for Mississippi in the Mississippi-Alabama All-Star Game. Bray Hubbard will represent the state in the Mississippi-Alabama All-Star Game as a quarterback. Coach, what does that mean to have these guys rewarded for their hard work throughout the season? They've shined, obviously, here in the city, on the coast, and now they're getting enough eyeballs on them to Bray and Bart represent the state, and JP and Keyshawn representing the south of the state in the state All-Star Game.
Yeah, I think it's just a sign of where our program is, and really proud of those guys. They're incredibly talented. They work extremely hard to be able to have the success that they do for our team, and then that shows up on film, it shows up on tape, and then the other coaches across the state vote on these things for these guys, so they have the respect of not only us, obviously, but for against the people that they compete against, and other coaches that they don't even necessarily compete against that recognize their abilities. So they're going to make us proud, I have no doubt, and those guys are going to do a great job.
So, on a more personal note, you were named offensive coordinator for the South team. What does it mean for you, and kind of the same thing?
It's an honor. It is. That the other coaches around the state of Mississippi, can recognize that. It's just it's a cool thing to do because we have a lot of great coaches in the state of Mississippi, and to be around those guys and spend time with them and pick their brain, and to get to coach against some of the best players the state has to offer, and get to coach with some of the best coaches that the state has to offer. So just a unique challenge and a cool opportunity for me personally, and I know our players are going to love it, and that makes it even better that I get to be around them for another week.
I know some of the big goals as a football coach, obviously, other than winning, championships and succeeding on the field, is getting these guys scholarships on the next level, setting them up for success in the future. Them being named to games like this to get that many more eyes on them, what does that mean from a recruiting perspective as a former college coach? Getting extra tape on these guys in front of the best.
Oh, I mean, it's awesome. You're going to see, especially in the Miss Al game, that you'll get guys and reporters and recruiters and things like that there all week long, and getting an opportunity to see them play against the best, and you really get a good chance for evaluation in those things. And so it's invaluable for those guys to get those opportunities, and it's one that I know that our players will take it full advantage of, and they're college football players already anyway, but having that more set of eyes can certainly give them other opportunities as well.
Pretty awesome honor for some of our guys. Again, J.P. Coulter and Keyshawn Thomas named to the South roster for the Mississippi Bernard Blackwell All-Star Game. Coach Pennock is going to be the offensive coordinator for that team. And then Bray Hubbard and Bart Edmonston both named to the Mississippi team for the Mississippi-Alabama All-Star Game. That's going to do it for us on Episode 5 of the Ocean Springs Football Coaches Show. Don't forget to join us tonight in Biloxi. Leave your house early. I cannot stress that enough due to cruising the coast traffic. If you can't join us in person, you can support the Greyhounds on www.osgreyhounds.live. You can watch the live stream of the football game there. Coach, thanks for joining us. Have a great 3-day weekend, everyone, and we'll see you next week.